Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please support this podcast by going to talkmurder.com/join and becoming a Taco Supremo.
A recent Google review from Sheila states that the Blood Mountain in Georgia is, quote, absolutely beautiful, peaceful, and puts me in a complete serenity. Now, I'm no hiker myself, but from the thousands of landscape photos posted by random adventure seekers, I can certainly see the charm. Rushing waterfalls, boulder formations overlooking breathtaking scenic views, cute and cuddly black bears just searching for their next meal. I get it. 24-year-old Meredith Hope Emerson also fell for the allure of this Appalachian awesomeness. A longtime hiking enthusiast, growing up in Colorado, she was well equipped to handle all that Blood Mountain could throw at her. However, on January 1st, 2008, it wasn't just the black bear stalking this Blood Mountain. And as Meredith started out her 4-mile hike with her black Labrador Ellie, serial killer Gary Michael Hilton hunted for his next prey. Hey guys, before we start, a big shout out. We got a new Taco Supremo.
Woo!
Lainey, Laine.
Hey,
Literally
Lainey.
just in. Hey, Lainey.
Yeah, just in. She is from Seneca,
New York?
Seneca,
Illinois.
Illinois. She is from Seneca, Illinois. Thank you so much for joining, Lainey. I cannot wait to get to know you, and be sure to go to our private Facebook group and our forum and request some stories, maybe some hometown stories from Illinois there. I think
We've got
John Wayne
quite a
Gacy is
few.
from Illinois,
He's
Chicago,
from
Illinois.
Plains.
And I wish I had some more John Wayne Gacy stickers that I could send you, but unfortunately we're out of serial killer stickers at the moment. So, but maybe I'll draw a picture for you.
Well, Jen, tell us about this cocktail.
So this is a cherry limeade, and
Like from Sonic?
kinda.
Oh my God, that is really good. That does taste like a cherry limeade.
Mm-hmm. So what it is, it's the Smoky Joe.
Oh yeah, it does taste cherry limeade.
Just like it.
It's Smoky Joe's cherry moonshine. I threw some of the cherries that are soaked in moonshine in there.
I cannot wait to get to those.
That's a good drink.
Thank you. And
Every time I see a red drink, I think of the tomato drink y'all made on
that was
episode
awful.
3.
Also, you sent us that recipe.
Yeah, you made us make that. We literally had to juice tomatoes, which I didn't know was something that was possible.
No. Also, if we had picked the drink, we would have just made Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm
with the
just
pickle
saying.
vodka.
Yeah.
So it's the Smoky Joe's. Oh, I already said that. Well, I'm just gonna go through the list again. Smoky Joe's cherry moonshine with the cherries. And then we got some whiskey sour. Well, not whiskey sour, but sour mix, sweet and sour mix, and topped off with some natural lime flavored White Claw.
That is. I was a little worried that the moonshine was going to be super strong. Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite drinks we've had in a long time.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think what cut it is the sweet and sour mix because it takes some of that toxicity out. Surprise shots, surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Oh,
Dude, I am not drinking this shit. I'm not drinking this shit. I'm not drinking it.
what?
You have to.
Dude,
if I
I'm
have
not-
to, you have
This
to.
is absinthe. Why would I drink this?
Absinthe and sour mix?
No. Down the hatch.
I mean, why would you do that?
Because I needed to get creative.
That's not creative. That's just...
Absinthe and...
You don't drink absinthe like that. You got to mix it.
What was it mixed with?
Ginger beer.
Oh.
All right, tonight we're drinking moonshine.
Yeah.
So obviously...
Are we going in the hills tonight?
Going in the hills.
Yes.
Are we really?
Yes.
Not the West Virginia hills, though.
The North Carolina hills where Popcorn Sutton is?
We're kind of going to the North Carolina hills.
Who are we talking to about Popcorn Sutton? We were having a very in-depth
I
conversation with
talked to
somebody
everybody
recently.
about Popcorn Sutton.
Oh, I remember this.
Was this after the show that we were talking about it?
I put his video in the show, the last live show, the Greenville show.
Oh, the last live show was in Charleston.
I know. I feel like we were talking about it in with somebody after the Charleston show, maybe.
All right, tonight we are going to the mountains, and this kind of overlaps with a story that we did recently.
The Appalachian Mountains?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear.
So Tennessee-
There are
Appalachian.
other mountains.
Oh, no.
Yes, the Appalachian Mountains, which runs from where, Nicole?
Georgia to Maine.
Have you ever read the Bill Bryson book, Walking in the Woods? I know we watched the movie.
No, I have not read the book, but I did read Wild by Cheryl Strayed. Awesome book.
What's
and
that
that
about?
made me want to go hike. She hikes a good portion of the Pacific Northwest Trail, which is a big portion from California up to Washington. And it was after her mom died, and she's kind of going through, she does it for like emotional cleansing. It's a great book.
Was that the movie that Reese Witherspoon did?
Yes.
That was a good movie. Also, there's also the movie that Robert Redford and...
That's Walking in the Woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so tonight we are going
Matches.
to the Appalachian Trail. We're actually going to start with a little bit of dialogue here. This is from the questioning from the police to the killer of tonight's story. So you guys are going to read a little bit of this conversation, and then we're going to really start the story. So if you want to do an accent, Jen, think toothless.
What was the one accent that we did that was like, it was like Oscar Gold? What was it? It was like you were like an old lady.
Yes,
it was fairly recent.
It was the Walter Collins story.
You have too many teeth to do this accent. Think of like...
She's like already like gumming her teeth out.
Okay, here's the perfect one. Think, and this is true with this guy.
Okay.
He grew up in the mountains, and then his family moves to the Glades in Florida. So
All right.
that
okay.
type of guy,
All right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking actually through his gums, so you
right.
can the air.
It's the whistle.
The air pressure is coming through his gums.
Make a right on Dawson Forest Road. Go to Shoal Creek Road, which becomes dirt. There is several gated roads off to the west side. They're gated, and the gates are closed, and they're designed as trails. They are heavily used equestrian trails. I believe it is the first road to the left.
Okay.
To make sure you're on the right road, immediately go to the north side of that road. On either side of Shoal Creek is a sign that says no bicycles beyond this point.
How far down the road?
Go down the road about 50 yards, and it's going to be off the south side or the left side of the road. The body will be.
Okay.
That's good.
This is hilarious. Also, like, he's very goddamn specific about, I mean,
Well, he grew up in them mountains.
I know, but he was like, all right, 50 yards down this road to the left, and then there, right there. He is
Yeah, he grew up in
Precise.
his mountains.
You know what this drink
Is
tastes
this
like?
Popcorn Sutton to
No,
giving
it's-
these directions?
A landmark for that would be the trail. It's a double blazed where two trails come together. One is lavender and the other is gray.
Okay.
Okay. The body will be approximately 40 yards or 120 feet. It's covered by the leaves and the brush.
You said the body is down there on the left of the road under some leaves and brush.
Under just a pile of leaves and brush, but not buried.
Okay. Is it wrapped in anything?
No, it isn't.
Is it clothed?
No, it isn't.
Is it intact?
No, it isn't.
You want to talk some more about that? This is so great. So I'm assuming this country bumpkin finds a body while he's out in the woods.
Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah, no, this is great. But I just want to ask. So
This is the killer. He's describing where he left.
he's the killer. I forgot about that.
He's describing where he
You said
left the
that.
body so the police can go to the body. So this is the killer.
Oh, I for some reason I was like, oh, I know you said that, but
You're
in my
reading
mind,
the cops' dialogue, and Jen's reading the killer's dialogue.
you said that. I apologize.
Okay, read this last slide again because it goes into the next one perfectly.
Cherry limeade is like my favorite thing.
I do
ever.
love it.
Nicole, read the damn slide.
Oh,
God
sorry.
damn.
I was like,
She's just really appreciative
I'm
of
just
this drink.
Christ.
I love
in
how
a
much you
relationship with this drink right now.
I love how much you love it. It makes me feel good about my life.
Oh, it's
as
so
opposed to
good.
like half an hour ago when I was like, meh.
Is it intact?
No, it isn't.
You want to talk some more about that?
All right, Jen, here we go.
I feel like that's exactly how Nicole, would ask that question. You want to elaborate?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. The head will be missing.
Where's the head?
To locate that, continue north on Shoal Creek Road, and I believe it will be about the second gated road, approximately half a mile on the left. The road is on a ridge line, and it's got a gate across it. You're going to need a dog for this, I believe.
The
Yeah.
Academy Award goes for Jen Collins for John Perry's family. All right. So, guys, the story tonight is actually parallels to a story that we've recently covered. I don't know if you guys remember going up to the North Carolina Asheville Mountains, the Pisgah Mountains.
Oh, yes. We did
Do you
just do
remember
a
that?
case.
Do you remember the
Yes.
girl's name?
Smith.
Judy
Smith.
Judy Smith, exactly. Yeah.
I always want to say Susan Smith, but that's a different case in South Carolina.
It's
Yeah.
somewhere where I want to punch someone in the throat. That's
Yeah.
that case.
Yeah.
On that case, do you remember when we interviewed Savannah on that case?
Mm-hmm.
She said that she saw many rumors online and speculation that her murder, Judy Smith's, if it was a murder, we don't actually know.
Oh, yeah. There was a serial killer.
There was a serial killer. So
who was working at that time, which I kind of love that expression.
Yeah,
it
working.
seems really,
yeah,
Like
I
it's
don't know.
like it's
just
a
kitschy. It's
career
fun.
path.
Yeah.
yeah.
He was working at that time.
I see that in every true
He's
crime
doing a
book.
stint there.
Yeah,
He was working in the area,
yeah, he's working
like a
it.
freelancer. I
Yeah.
like it. It's like people
They
who
kind
calls.
of are freelancers when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
Unless
gosh, I saw
they're
a
hitmen.
really funny meme online this weekend, and it was something like the burglar is going to a burglar goes to the unemployment office and seeking unemployment because he can't rob anybody because everybody's home.
That's funny. That is kind of funny.
yeah. Well, it's kind of, if you think about working, for instance, I don't want to jump into this guy's MO, but he does it for financial. You know, he's robbing the victims. So, you know, he does it's
He's
kind of working. Yeah.
He working.
That killer that we talked about on the Judy Smith missing episode, and I can't remember what episode that was, but I know it's a few back from this one.
Yeah, it
so if you
wasn't
want
too
to
long
listen
ago.
to it. Anyway, we had talked about that maybe, just maybe, and not confirmed, but it could have been the work of a serial killer. And that's the guy we're talking about tonight. We're talking about a serial killer, and his name is Gary Michael Hilton.
Is that how you decided you wanted to pick this case? You heard about him?
No.
Or?
I honestly, for tonight's case, you know, it was the weekend, and because I struggle picking cases all the time. It's got to be a case I really am interested in. And I was like, you know what? I just want to read a really good book. And I'm always reading. So a new book hit the shelves, and it was about this case. I didn't know it was about this case when I started reading it. I just saw that it got really good reviews. And let me go ahead and tell you what the book is tonight.
Do you ever look at the new releases and literally judge them by the cover?
I judge every
Yes.
book by the cover.
I do. It's kind of funny that was like the lesson that you learned growing up, and that is truly how I pick books.
Yeah, I put books by the cover. No doubt about it. If you don't have a good cover, then, I mean,
You're done.
If we were books, do you think that people would read us?
fuck no. I don't know. Anyway,
I think people
I
might
hope
read
so.
me. Like
This is-
I would have. It would have to be a picture of me, like in one of my unfortunate event moments, and then maybe people would read my book.
Yeah.
so look at this cover. It's pretty good. It's called Those Days in January. The
Ooh,
abduction,
Spooky Child.
the abduction and murder of Meredith Hope Emerson. This is a very sad case. And this is actually from the detective, John Cagle. John Cagle grew up in a small town in North Georgia. He joins the law enforcement. He was the lead investigator of this case right here. And actually the book is really well written, and I definitely recommend it for any true crime readers out there. And it's not filled with a bunch of fluff or anything. It's basically this guy named John Cagle. He is about to retire. He's got like 3 months to retire. And so it goes through the retirement process, and he tells, his XO or whatever, hey, give me a light workload while I'm going into retirement. Anyway, this case pops up on his desk, and this is his last case before he retires.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's the biggest case he's ever worked.
Wow. So
Give me a light case. Yeah. I'd be like, that fucking asshole.
That would be me, dude. I would say that, and they'd be like, you just started. You've been here 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Your contract is for another 6 years.
Yeah. Now, I want to say with this episode, we are going primarily off the book. I'm not going to talk about Hilton's other murders that happened prior to Meredith. Meredith, the body that he was talking about, was when he was in custody. That is his last murder.
Okay.
Oh, this was it a child?
No, it's not a child. She's 24.
I mean,
she was 24.
It's still sad. She's young, but and also it doesn't matter what age you are. If you get murdered, it's sad. But
yeah. And I'll talk about this, but the guy's MO is financial. I'm a take you hostage so I can try to get ATM money.
So kind of opposite of the Granny Slayer.
Yes. Where he just, I don't know, was hired by the KGB.
And so we're only focusing on Meredith's case. He has killed others. I believe he's killed 4 in total. And he did get tried for those after they caught him for the Meredith case. But tonight I'm focusing mainly on the victim Meredith, and we're going to kind of go more in detail about her and who she was and stuff like that. And I don't mean to gloss over the other victims because they're also important, but the book mainly focuses on Meredith because that's the case that John Cagle worked, because the other cases were in Florida and this one's actually in Georgia.
Okay.
But like we said, the Judy Smith, that was in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't know if that's him or not, but he has spent a lot of time in the Pisgah Forest.
He did kill someone within a very short, small, rather mile radius of Judy Smith. We did know that for sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like, obviously we haven't
Different
really started
MO.
that. Yeah.
Because Judy Smith had her wedding ring and stuff
And
there.
her clothes on.
And money. So
Yeah.
she was
that MO doesn't
and her
necessarily
head.
match up.
And I don't know if
Also true.
that's... Well, that was also 10 years prior, and I'm not sure that that's even the same guy.
No, actually, learning more about his MO, I really liked it when we talked about the Judy Smith case at first.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say that you liked his MO.
No, I liked.
Wow.
I liked that it was a possibility. Like it was probable that it was the same guy. But now that we're learning more about this serial killer who was working in the area, it doesn't seem like it's a fit at all for the MO on Judy Smith.
Yeah, like I said...
But at the time when we recorded it, I was like, oh yeah, it's a serial killer. Probably makes sense. But now that we're learning more about the serial killer, it doesn't really make sense.
You might change
and
that
now
stance.
that Judy Smith is about to go drive me crazy again.
You might change that stance, and you'll see why. There's a 4.5 hour interrogation video that I'm putting on talkmore.com.
Did you watch every second of it, John?
Dude, honestly, no. I skip forward. This
the
guy...
one time you haven't watched it.
It's so... This guy is so...
Illiterate?
effing annoying.
Oh, really?
And
Like,
he
how
just
so?
talks and talks and talks and talks. So let's continue with the story. I know the opening was, kind of entertaining or whatever, but like I said, this is actually a very tragic case.
How old is this guy? Because I'm getting you've planted popcorn setting in my head, so I feel like he's in his like 60s or 70s, but perhaps that is inaccurate.
This guy is older. I think he's 60-ish, maybe a little older.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's not totally far off.
So the victim tonight is Meredith Hope Emerson, and we're going to kind of go through some of what her friend said about her. I obviously am going off what I read, but you can kind of think of her, and this is from my opinion, as an old soul, kind of, she's not flashy. She's not at the parties and stuff like that.
She's chill.
In fact, she actually, when she got abducted was January 1st, and the night before she had went to her friend's party and stuff. She left to beat the post New Year's traffic type of person. She's very sweet, and she's obviously beautiful.
Like
if you're looking,
she's very cute.
If you can see her pictures at talkmurder.com, and it's a very sad case because of that. She was, an excellent person. You could just tell. So this is her black Labrador.
So cute.
And he actually survived this incident because she goes hiking with him, and her name is Ella. And there was actually a run, like a 5K or whatever, devoted. It was like Ella's Run or something like that.
The dog?
Well, to honor Meredith, obviously. But the dog survived and was adopted by Meredith's parents. At first, this wasn't a murderer per se. It was a missing person. And we are going to Blood Mountain, which is...
Well, that's a freaking ironic name.
I know, right?
Why is it called Blood Mountain?
So the reason it's called Blood Mountain, that's a good question, is because some believe that the name actually comes from a battle between the Cherokee and Creek Indians. The mountain, as you're looking right now, is sort of reddish. Here, check this picture out.
Like from the foliage?
Yeah, exactly. Check this picture out.
That's kind of like Sleeping Giant Mountain.
You see?
Should we make it
pretty?
Yeah, it's
it
really
looks
pretty.
Like Sleeping Giant,
but it's kind
not.
of reddish, It's got a red tint to it.
Very pretty.
I love some fall foliage.
Now, what you're seeing right now is the note that she wrote to her roommate when she was going on a hike. So she was going on a hike. This was January 1st, 2008. This is in the Georgia mountains. And from John Cagle, the lead investigator, he remembers that morning very well. And he called it, and I've heard this term quite a bit growing up down here, but a quote, Carolina blue sky. But it is January, so it is the mid-50s. It's
gorgeous out.
It's gorgeous out, but it's nippy.
Yeah.
I don't know if
nippy.
you guys know what that word is.
Yes. I wonder if they have...
It's a tit bit nipply, but we got to make the breast of it.
Did the word nibby arise from it being with your nips?
Yeah, so...
No, Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
When you get cold as a female, your nipples protrude.
It happens when you're a dude, too.
Did I ever tell you about my high school history teacher?
No.
He was also the baseball coach.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy would sit all the females in the front of the room.
And Bellassa AC.
Yeah, he actually got fired.
That's probably a good thing. He also probably should have gotten,
sexual harassment charges.
Yeah. If that was happening today, woo!
But you can't prove it.
It would be a registered sex
Maybe he
offender.
just wanted the females in front because he likes the way they smell.
Oh,
because that's like 50 times better.
I'm such a pig.
Is that a no filter comment or?
All right. So the night, now it's 2007. All right. December 31st.
Yeah.
Hopefully we hit 2021.
Here's hoping.
It doesn't go to December 32nd.
Or maybe we don't hope. Like, what is it? Like, what if 2021 is worse?
Oh my God. I was just saying that to somebody. Like, how do we know 2021 is going to be better than this year?
That night, December 31st, 2007, Meredith and her boyfriend, Steve Seegers, they go out partying. And like I said, Meredith doesn't seem like the party kind of girl. But, it's kind of like what we did last night, go out, have a drink or two. She actually leaves, and this sounds kind of like me, because of the post-party traffic. She wanted to get home to her apartment that she shared with her roommate before all the drunk people, before Jen starts driving. Yeah. She actually makes plans with Steve the next day. It's actually pretty sad. And guys, make sure you always talk nice to your girlfriends, because at 11 a.m., Steve talks to her on the phone. This is the next day, January 1st, 2008. And he was, quote, terse and short. I don't know. They weren't really fighting, but it was... He was just aggravated.
He was being a dick.
He was just aggravated, And but that's
for what reason?
Yeah, whatever.
He was PMSing
or whatever, but
Maybe he had the man flu.
But, it's sad because that's the last time he ever talked to her was being like that. So, guys, try to, at least fake that you're happy. She talks to her boyfriend on the phone.
I was saying, okay, do you want to try that? Or
she talks to
or
her
you
boyfriend.
could just be nice to everyone.
She talks to her boyfriend Steve on the phone at 11 a.m. That was the last call. He actually called at 2:40 p.m., but she was already held captive by the serial killer here. I'm putting in some quotes from Gary Michael Hilton throughout this episode. So if you want to go ahead and read this, Nicole, or whoever. So if you want to go ahead and read this is a quote from the killer.
The Blood Mountain Trail is a good place to hunt because it's the most used hiking trail in Georgia. It's a 3.5 mile hike up to 1,400 feet. Now, I'm amazed at the number of people that do it. But you see, it's a good place to hunt that you have a huge selection, but it's a bad place to hunt because, well, too many witnesses.
is he saying hunting as in people hunting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people hunting, yeah. All right, so what you're looking at now is the Google Earth, the Blood Mountain. So you see where...
it's like an intersection.
Yeah, so where it says Blood Mountain right there, do you see it's kind of, it's pavement right there. That's the parking lot. So that's the approach trail. You would park your car there. Just like any mountain hiking trail like that, there's a parking lot. You park your car there. So her car was found there, obviously. We know that she was abducted, but at the time, they didn't. They just thought she was a missing hiker. So here's kind of the timeline for that. Shortly after noontime, Meredith and her black Labrador, Ella, they arrive at the mountain parking lot. Shortly after that, another hiking enthusiast named Bill Clausen, he actually spots Meredith walking alongside with an older gentleman, which is Gary Michael Hilton. Let me go ahead and show you his photo because I know you guys want to see it.
Yeah, so I'm dying to know what this guy looks like.
This is your bachelor.
Oh, less hairy than I thought, but definitely as creepy as I thought.
Yeah, very creepy.
He literally looks like the
one
devil.
with the beard is kind of how I pictured him,
But
actually.
no, I pictured a longer beard and some long white hair.
Popcorn Son is who you pictured.
I mean, he's...
He
This-
looks like Anthony Hopkins.
No. What?
Yes,
No
he does.
way.
In that picture, he looks like...
Because he's got white hair?
No, he looks like Anthony Hopkins.
And he's a white man? I don't understand.
He looks like him.
He looks nothing like Anthony Hopkins.
In that picture, he does look like Hannibal Lecter.
You're on meth.
No, I'm on kratom. You gave it to me.
So she meets this guy on the trail and they start chit-chatting?
Yeah, and as you'll see from the interview in a second, he also has a dog, and they kind of meet up, and he's just some old man, looking for some attention. You know what I'm saying? He just wants someone to talk to. That's what he kind of comes.
I mean, the fact that he has a dog would make him less creepy, I guess.
Yeah, that
but
would disarm me.
It would disarm me, but I wonder how her dog reacted to him.
Ooh, yeah,
That's
dogs
a good question.
know all.
The dog, I haven't saw too much about his dog or where it's at now, but I know its name was Dandy. Okay, so a little bit about Blood Mountain. It is part of the Chattahoochee, way down yonder in the Hoochie Coochie.
Hoochie Coochie.
Way down yonder in the Hoochie Coochie. In the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than the Hoochie Coochie. We laid rubber on the Jordan asphalt. Got a lot of crazy, but we never got caught.
Wow, who wrote that?
Is that Alan Jackson?
I was thinking Carole King. Way over
Is it Alan Jackson?
Yeah.
He was part of the Alan Jackson fan club.
Oh, no,
Screw
that's
you,
right. I
dude.
forgot.
Everyone's a part of that when they're growing up, so screw you.
Oh my God.
Part of the Vogel State Park, second oldest in Georgia since 1931. This was right after the Great Depression, or during the Great Depression, and they were trying to build new parks. This was part of whatever president's
FDR.
New Deal.
FDR.
his New Deal, which was actually pretty smart because he built like all these recreational parks.
Yeah.
But it
And
was
it-
actually Teddy Roosevelt who made sure that parks were going to be preserved.
One witness that saw Meredith walking with this older man, obviously Hilton, said she was wearing a lavender zippered jacket and black exercise pants. There was actually another hiker that seen her alive, and this is Seth Blankenship. He later finds the 2 water bottles, doggy treats, a silver hair barrette,
Barrett.
sunglasses, and a police baton, which is pretty weird because a lot of people don't carry a police issued baton. They carry mace.
Yep.
Or something, or maybe a taser, but a baton is...
Was
Yeah,
it one
that's
of the
strange.
batons that's like the one that's already out, or is it the
No,
one
it's
that
the
you can like?
extendable.
Oh, I need
Yeah.
one of those.
What you're reading now, Nicole, is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, dated January 4th, 2018.
Minutes earlier, Blankenship saw a weathered, toothless man with a sheathed police baton walking near a pretty young woman carrying that leash. He thought they might be a father and daughter, but Blankenship, a former cop, got a gut feeling that something was wrong after finding the odd assortment of gear. He started asking others if they had seen anything strange.
Now, I don't want to talk bad about this guy because he did come out to a one newspaper that I was reading about the guilt that he feels still currently for letting this go. He has this gut feeling, but he didn't do anything about it. But so I don't want to talk bad about it because I know he's got to live with that for the rest of his life because she's dead. But it is what it is, that's just how things work. Here's another witness, Bill Clausen. This is from the same paper here.
Bill Clausen, another hiker, had. Minutes earlier, Clausen, who was with his son and then fiancé, spotted a scruffy man sulking in the woods as his family enjoyed a scenic moment. The man seemed impatient, as if waiting for the family to leave. Clausen and Blankenship walked back to where the stranger lurked.
They actually turned in the police baton to the local gift shop. This story, I do want to talk a little bit about Meredith as a victim, since we're only covering one. Now, keep in mind, now remember, Gary Michael Hilton has multiple victims, but I'd like to talk a little bit about Meredith. And this is a friend of hers. She's a photographer. I found this on Flickr.com. This is the search that goes on. Hundreds of people show up at the mountain when she's reported missing later that day. Obviously, they have no idea that she's been abducted. She could literally just be lost. And at night, the mountain gets below zero and it snows. It's January in these mountains. So the chance of survival is very slim. So there was a lot of searchers, over 100 searchers that got out there. And obviously they didn't stay very long because they figured out that she was abducted. But this is one of her friends, her close friends, that was on the search.
As we drew near the mountain, my hopes began to waver. The temperature had been dropping the entire time. We passed huge icicles and snow on the ground on the wavy road there, and by the time we'd gotten to the tiny store and hotel there at 7 a.m., the dash read 5 degrees Fahrenheit. As we stepped out, the cold air whipped down the slope and ripped the rime off the trees. My breath caught in my chest. How could anyone live in this for more than an hour? Ella, I reminded myself. She's got Ella. As we got there, the first news van, 11 Alive, pulled up. One reporter went up to the road to talk to police. The second stayed with us at the store. People were jovial and talkative. Hopes were high.
Like I said, that's from her friend on Flickr, Heather L. I'll link to that on talkmurder.com. Let's talk a little bit about Meredith before we go into the murder. As you're looking at now, this is her. She's the one on the right. This is a picture at the zoo, I believe, with one of her friends. And she's a very beautiful woman. It's extremely sad, this case. Her close friends called her Mere, M-E-R-E. She was 24. She had a roommate. She lived in Buford, B-U-F-O-R-D, which is north of Atlanta. And her boyfriend, Steve Cigars. I didn't look him up because I didn't think it was that important. He had nothing to do with this, obviously. And she graduated from the University of Georgia in Athens. You guys been to that campus, right? The you never been there?
No.
Oh, that's the Bulldogs.
UGA?
Yeah, UGA. So I've had some pretty good fun times down there when I was in the military. She's actually from Longmont, which is a town near Denver, Colorado. So she's a Colorado native. She is a hiker through and through. So if I was going to search for her and I knew her background, I would immediately be worried because she is an experienced hiker. And she enjoyed skiing, hiking. She obviously enjoyed the mountains. She graduated from UGA and started her career in marketing. She does have a MySpace page. Kind of wanted to bring back because I miss MySpace so much. I miss it.
Never had one.
Really?
Yeah.
This is her MySpace. So her name is myspace.com, right to hike. So you can tell she is definitely an experienced hiker. And the reason I'm going into this is because she, at the time, people think she's missing on the mountain, and yet she's such a hiker. So there's some of her photos right here. That's her black Labrador.
So cute.
All right, this is from the Atlanta Constitution Journal, dated 8th of January, 2008. This is a little bit about Meredith. This is from her friends.
She was confident, outgoing, always ready to laugh and always able to help others join her. Meredith Emerson might be gone. To those who know her, it doesn't seem real.
It always seems like those who shine the brightest have their star extinguished early.
She was smart, loved reading, a gorgeous girl, really positive and fun to be around.
So once these hikers released to the police and the media that the description of Hilton, the killer, the abductor, then there were some calls. For instance, this is his former employer, right? The guy that owns the company? Yeah, employer. This is his former employer. His name is John Tabor, and I looked a little bit up about him. He owns a siding and roofing company. So all the jobs that Gary Michael Hilton worked at was general contractor, siding, roofing type of stuff that you would call to get your handyman coming over.
Right. I first met him about 10 years ago. He had responded to a help wanted ad placed in a local newspaper for a telemarketing position. And he came to the office to interview. He had experience working as a telemarketer for other siding companies, so in the same line of work, and he was hired at that point. He complained of being ill quite often. He told other people he was ill, that he even had MS, which I don't believe there was ever any clinical diagnosis of such. I think these are just stories he would tell people, whether real or not. I don't know, but I know that he wasn't working, and he still needed and wanted money to survive. So I helped him out the best I could.
He actually calls the police at 2:09 because he recognizes the description from what police put out to the media of the man that she was walking with, which was Hilton, obviously. So he calls the police at 2:09 and he gives them everything, even the dog's name, Dandy. He drives a 2001 Chevy Astro van. He gives them his security number, his social security number. He says he likes to travel with a police baton. He says this is 100% the guy you're looking for. His name is Gary Michael Hilton. Not only that, but at 4:30 p.m., 2 hours after he calls the police, Tabor himself gets a call from Hilton asking for money. He said that he's trying to get his life in order. Now, this is after he abducted Meredith and has her hostage in his van. He calls this guy at 4:30 p.m., says he's trying to get his life in order, but he needs $700 to get his license and his tag renewed. Now, this video right here,
That's a hefty fee.
Well, as you'll see, this guy, the former employer, John Tabor, actually was threatened numerous times by Hilton, his former employee, demanding money and stuff like that.
But as time passed on into the summer, things were just getting worse, not better. He still wasn't working, and it got to the point where he was demanding money, not just asking for it. Even though at that point I had probably advanced him in the neighborhood of $10,000, he demanded more. It got to the point where I told him that there was to be no more. He wasn't working. I had been discussing this with him for several months now, and he wasn't doing anything about it, and that he was going to have to move on. And at that point, he told me he wanted $10,000, period. He said, I don't care how you get it, but you better give it to me or else. He said, I'd take half now and I can get the rest later. But he said it would be the easy thing to do, or else I would pay the price. And he made no mistake, and I could see from the tone of his voice that he was in a state I had never seen him before.
At first, when I saw the video, I was like, this guy has no backbone. And then I was like, oh no, maybe he's just like a nice guy. And then I was like, no, he has no backbone.
Yeah, I mean, he goes on in this interview to say that the police report he filed, he actually let the cops listen to several voicemails of this guy, erratic, demanding money, stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know. It's like, I don't think he was addicted to heroin or drugs or anything. He just like did not want to work and just wanted money. You know, I mean, he calls this guy after he abducted Meredith and demanded $700.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the fuck? Now, I didn't dive into this guy at all, you know, but I did think it's kind of weird. Look at the video here. You see the background, and then you go to his LinkedIn page, and it's he's using the same photo from the background. Is that weird?
Yeah. It's like literally a screenshot from the interview.
I felt
Holy
like,
shit, that's awesome.
I felt that was weird.
That is strange, actually.
It is really strange, isn't it?
Like, that's the best professional looking photo you can get is from a police interview.
I know, that's kind of weird, man. I noticed that. So the LinkedIn profile is the picture, the exact same picture used on the interview, and he's not even smiling or anything.
I mean,
But-
he
I
looks
look pensive
professional.
here.
I don't know.
But so it says his LinkedIn profile, he owns insulated wall systems, so I'm guessing siding, drywall, stuff like that. So this guy was a general kind of contractor. Now, let's go to Jen's favorite place here.
Huddle House.
I've never been to a Huddle House.
It's like a shittier version of Waffle House, if you can even do that.
I like
Waffle House is great.
Yeah.
Don't diss the Waffle House.
We never went to Waffle House as a group.
So,
No, there's not one in Mount Peak.
Yeah, there is. All over on Long Point.
So when he phones Tabor, he actually phones him from this Huddle House right here. Now,
This
keep in mind-
particular Huddle House?
This exact one, yeah. This is 35 Foothills Parkway, Marble Hill, Georgia. Now, this is 60 miles southwest of Blood Mountain where Meredith was abducted. So keep in mind the whole time she's in the car right now. And she stays in that car for about 3 days before she gets murdered. So she does go through a little bit of the Stockholm Syndrome, which we'll get into because his interview was very telling about the victims and how they, what he said, quote, eventually submit. And it makes me think, if going back to what we talked about, Judy Smith, you know, why would she walk up that mountain? If you don't know what we're talking about, it was a lady that went missing and her bones were found on the Pisgah Mountains where he used to live, because this guy lives out in his van.
Down by a river?
Literally van down by the river, yeah. I mean, literally. He lives in his van down by the river. I mean, 100%, yeah. She was in the van, and he'll talk about multiple times she had opportunity to escape, but there may have been some psychological Stockholm Syndrome, stuff like that there at the time. And I'll play a little bit of his interview, but like I said, you do not want to watch this guy's interview. This guy will annoy the living shit out of you. But anyway, this is 60 miles southwest of Blood Mountain, and when he calls this guy, remember, they're still searching for Meredith on the mountain, but she's not there. Now, another Good Samaritan actually called from a quick trip gas station, you know, the QT gas stations, and they actually spotted this guy Hilton and his white Astro van. Now, this is the interview. The video here is from Fox News. I'm going to go ahead and play the 911 call that came in when this gentleman spotted the van. He was actually...
Megyn Kelly.
He was actually... Yeah, is she still an anchor or whatever?
Not on Fox News. No, she left because Roger Ailes harassed her. But she is now with MSNBC or NBC or something.
I really want to watch that movie, Bombshell. I don't think you would like it.
Charlize Theron does a great job
Yeah.
as Megyn Kelly. You almost can't even tell. Also, Nicole Kidman plays Gretchen.
I was going to say wieners.
And me too.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, 911, what's the exact location?
I have the person of interest in that missing woman case is at this Chevron gas station on Ashford Dunwoody.
Chevron gas station in Ashford Dunwoody?
Yeah.
You said the van is there?
The van is here. The dog is here, the red dog, and I saw the man's face, and I've been watching the news, and I know it's him. He's got a green long sleeve sweatshirt, and he's wearing a hat, and he's emptying all this stuff out of his van. Pillows and a blanket, and it looks like he's got a sleeping bag right now. Taking it all to the trash. It's definitely
And the dumpster is
looking around like he is as guilty as sin.
Okay, sir, and the dumpster is at the rear of the location?
Yeah, the dumpster, well, it's kind of right in the front. It's right by the car wash.
Okay.
I can go take him down if you want.
No, sir, stay right there.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, sir.
He looks like he's finishing up. You guys gotta hurry. He's got stuff in bags that he's emptied onto the ground, and he's taking load by load to the dumpster behind the car wash. This is the third backpack we've seen him take to the dumpster. Oh, I'm just shaking. You guys, is there somebody en route?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Here comes the cops. Yes.
Yes. Police are there?
Yes. Yes. They got him.
They got him?
I mean, they don't have him yet, but they're getting out. So they got him now. Here, 2 cruisers pulled up on him. 2 of the cabs trying to...
Unfortunately, by this time, that Meredith was already dead, but this is when they finally apprehended Gary Hilton, and they finally got the stuff that was in the trash can that he dumped. They found Meredith Emerson's driver's license. They also found a fleece pullover covered with dirt, hair, and vegetation debris. That fleece had a red substance that did test positive for Meredith's blood. A blue sweatshirt that also had her blood on it. Another sweatshirt which was saturated with blood. They also found a U.S. Forest Service warning citation issued on December 28th. This was a few days before the murder, 2007, to Gary Hilton. This was issued to him because he was driving on a closed road and camping in an unauthorized place. There was also blood on the ticket. An Atlanta newspaper was also found in the trash dated January 4th, 2007, and it had, obviously, the story that he was a part of. And there were also metal chains, blood-stained, as well as nylon rope. And he, as you're about to hear, used that to bind Meredith up.
The chains and the rope? Yikes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about this guy, Gary Michael Hilton, if you guys don't mind. He was born in Atlanta, November 26, 1946. He moved to Hialeah, Florida, when he was 12 years old. At 13, he actually shoots his stepfather.
Oh.
Whoa.
Well, that's not a good start to him.
His stepfather, his name was Nilo D-Bag.
What?
Oh my
D-bag.
gosh.
Literally D-E and then a big B-A-G. D-bag.
The bag.
Yeah, it's a bag.
Holy shit, dude.
Oh, wow.
D-bag.
That sucks.
Dude, that does suck, man. Oh, fuck, I would change my name. That's worse than people named Craps.
Yeah.
Like, there was
way
a girl
worse.
named Craps in school. I think there was a Putin, too.
Also, like Richard Johnson.
That's not as
not
bad.
even as not nearly.
You know,
I would embrace that one
as
at that point.
D-bag, what up, D-bag? I mean, what the fuck?
I wonder if he grew up to be a reputable human being, or if he
Obviously
really was
not.
a D-bag.
He's the stepfather of this asshole.
That doesn't mean that's not his fault. It's not his seed.
So Hilton actually enrolled in Miami Springs Junior High, and quite surprisingly, he actually did very well in school. He's a pretty smart guy, and you can see that from the interview. Yeah, I don't want to call him dumb because he's really not, but you know, he just decided to take a different path in life, I guess. He served in the Army, which was not the smartest decision, I guess. So I guess not that smart, but he was actually a paratrooper, like yours truly, and he spent time in Georgia in jump school. I literally probably slept in the same barracks as him in jump school. Yeah. He actually was honorably discharged from the Army. He was married a few times. When he gets out of the Army, he's constantly locked up for miscellaneous stuff, drugs, burglary, possession of marijuana, solicitation. You saw he's trying to scam money from people. He was stealing books from the American Book Display Company. Here's what's really weird about this case, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but this is very interesting. This guy, Gary Michael Hilton, as you see right here, and you won't believe this, but it's true, and I'm going to show you. He actually helped produce a movie.
Really?
What kind of movie?
One of Pornhub's finest?
Not Pornhub's finest. It's basically his manifesto.
What?
So when he was arrested, they tried to automatically give him an attorney. They don't want to ask, do you want an attorney, or wait for him to say it. And the reason they do that, and I didn't know this at the time, but Meredith is still out there. She may still be alive. So when he's arrested, they don't know where she's at or if she's dead. So they offer him an attorney right off the bat so they can get him talking and rescue Meredith. That's how that works.
Okay.
Because I was like, why would they offer him an attorney right off the bat? I thought they usually don't do that. But that's why they did that. Anyway, he had a public defender, but another guy walks into the jail station claiming to be this guy's attorney for like the last decade.
Really?
And yeah. And this guy, so in 1995, a movie called Deadly Run was being produced. Now, this attorney that walks in and claims he was Hilton's attorney for the last 10 years, he was also a movie producer. And this is before the murders, completely before the murders. And maybe Gary Hilton has murdered before that, but I guess we'll never know. But he wants to produce a movie, and Gary Michael Hilton at the time was living in Atlanta. He was actually living in a storage space, like one of those storage space.
He was living in a storage space?
Yeah, like Kramer. Remember he was... Remember Kramer was living in there for a while?
Yeah, I turned on my TV last night, and the first thing that popped up was the Soup Nazi episode, and I was like, yes, you never catch this episode on TV.
Yeah, so he was living in a storage space, and this shady-ass attorney named Samuel Rael, literally Shade Queen. If you watched...
Yes, I love that you use that word again. I am so excited
if you watch...
He's used it before?
The girl from...
We had a discussion about how he made that word, and we were excited that he used it.
If you watch the Breaking Bad, and he's got another show, but that attorney...
Oh, Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. That's this guy.
Yes.
Literally. So think about this guy. He hooks up with Hilton, who is living in a storage container.
Tiny homes expert. He has the van down by the river and a storage unit.
Holy shit, he's living in a storage...
Hey, rent is cheap.
Holy shit.
What is it, like $100 a month or something?
He goes up to this guy, Hilton, and says, hey, I want to produce a movie called Deadly Run. Well, he says, I want to produce a movie. And Gary Michael Hilton's like, I got the perfect plot. And he says...
Let me tell you my life story.
He says, quote, and we'll watch a little bit of the scenes if you want.
Yeah.
quote, let some beautiful women out in the woods and then they could be hunted down like prey.
It's like the most dangerous game.
That is literally the manifesto of this
gosh,
dude.
like
That's
legit.
literally what he was doing in real life. You know?
No wonder. I mean, who ended up like? What was the production company? Was it released?
Dude, this movie has like -1 stars. Hold on, let me show you the IMDb. So this is the movie that Gary Michael Hilton helped produce right here, and it's really awesome. You guys,
Let's read the description, please. Wait. Respected and very wealthy Atlanta, Georgia realtor Bobby Wilson has a wife, son, and daughter, but does some things unknown to them. He has a cabin on a rural tract 200 miles to the north. And that's all it says.
all right, so that's a little bit about Gary Hilton, and obviously he's killed before that, but like I said in this episode, we're not going to go through those murders specifically. If you want to read this is a quote by him.
Reaching out them gets their cooperation because now you're making yourself a person to them instead of a monster. You're just making them see you as just a guy who maybe has a screw loose.
All right, here is him at the ATM right here.
Is that a mask?
No, it's like a trash bag, I think. So here's basically what happened. He abducts Meredith, puts her in his van. Now, this is in broad daylight, and there were witnesses around, obviously, so he's not trying that hard. But on January 1st, 7:05 p.m., 2008, he makes his first attempt at the Appalachian Community Bank in Blairsville, Georgia. He's got Meredith hostage. He's demanding her PIN number, and for 3 days, she is giving him false PIN numbers. So he drove her around for the next 3 days, and she kept doing this PIN number thing where she wouldn't give him, because it makes sense. I mean, once he's got the PIN number, you're no good to him anymore. So, and that's all he wants, is he just wants money. I mean, he called multiple people after this demanding money. At 9:31 p.m. and at 9:45 p.m., he made 7 more attempts at the Bank of America in Gainesville, Georgia. Again, wrong PIN number. January 2nd, the Regions Bank in Canton, which was 80 miles southwest of the trail. So he is going southwest towards Florida. And if you see the photo here, go talkmore.com. He is trying to hide his face here with just a random bag. This is from the Atlanta Constitution, dated 1st of February 2008. This talks about the actual murder of Meredith right here.
On her final night of captivity, Emerson was tied to a tree in Dawson Forest Wildlife Management Area. She died January 4th from repeated blows to the head from the handle of a car jack.
Oh, no.
So January 4th, he takes her into the woods at Dawson Forest, ties her to a tree, which Dawson Forest, this area that she was found in, actually used to be like an old nuclear site for a nuclear factory. So he ties her to the tree. She can't move, obviously, and then he just repeatedly beats her over the head with a car jack handle. This is before the murder, obviously, when he was demanding her PIN number.
I got her around to the tree, but she wasn't yelling anymore. I said, honey, don't worry, I've got your PIN number in card. If I was going to hurt you, I'd hurt you. We had to go through some really thick stuff, cross a really steep ravine, a drainage ditch and stream at the bottom. And then, across country straight down to the parking lot, I put a little line around her neck just like a leash, and that's the only way she was secured.
When he's talking about I put a line around her neck, if you watch the interview, he's saying this is after a few days she has began to submit to him. This is what he claims, and that he just tied a little leash around her neck, and she really wasn't constrained. She was just going through that Stockholm syndrome and, you know, her captor type of thing. I'm not really 100% sure about that. He also told her that he had a gun, which he did not. They only found a knife and the police baton.
She was unsecured, totally unsecured, except just I put a loop line around her neck, and just like a leash, like a dog's leash, and that's the only way she was secured. Okay, and I told her that I had a gun, and that, you know, I was going to shoot her ass. Now, I didn't have a gun, but I had a Speedy pistol look like that.
According to him, he claims that she could have gotten away if she wanted. This is from his attorney, his real attorney, not that quack, McNeil.
McNeil, his attorney, said Hilton is remorseful but decided not to address Emerson's parents in court because anything he could say would be hollow and empty. He realizes what he has done to the family, McNeil said. He realizes what a special person Meredith was. She actually did fight him in the beginning until she wasn't able to anymore, Darragh told reporters after the court hearing. Added McNeil, she was absolutely a hero. She did everything she possibly could to survive.
Now, I'll put this in here not to make you think that he's remorseful, because he's 100% not remorseful, as you're about to see in the interview. He just says what he has to make people think a certain way. He's not remorseful. And, I mean, he's just, I don't know, man.
A dick.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
A D-bag, technically.
Now, here's the story according to his interview. Both Meredith and him met on the Appalachian Trail in Union County. This was New Year's Day, obviously. They started walking together because they both had the dogs, and the dogs kind of bonded there. He actually couldn't keep up with her and started to fall behind a little bit, but then he kind of intercepts her on the way down a hill. He produces a military-style Bowie knife, which I'm putting a picture of that evidence on talkmurder.com, and demands her ATM card. Immediately, Meredith starts fighting back, and I obviously really wish this went a different way, because she's actually a black belt.
Oh, wow.
And she immediately saw the knife and disarmed this guy, but eventually he got the upper hand. But even he admits in the interrogation that she almost got the upper hand on him.
She almost whipped my ass. She damn sure did. I lost control of both of them, both the knife and the bat. Showed her the knife, grabbed the fucker. It's a bayonet, so it's dull shit anyway. All it is a spike to stick with, it's not a slasher. Grabbed the bayonet, and somehow I lost control of the bayonet and lost it, period. And it went down. I pulled the bat, deployed it, grabbed that. I mean, it was not my finest hour.
She actually grabs the knife blade, and then that's when he pulls out the baton. If he didn't have the baton, I believe it would have went completely different. Hilton says, quote, I had to hand fight her. She wouldn't stop. She would not stop fighting and yelling at the same time. So I needed both to control and silence her. Then he keeps punching her in the face, fractures her nose, and eventually she gets worn down. And he finally says, listen, stop, please be quiet. All I'm wanting to do is rob you. And if you watch the interview, that was his MO. He's trying to just reassure them that they're not going to be harmed, and he just wants to get their money, which was not the case at all. He's just saying that, obviously.
Did he sexually assault her?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. That's a good question. According to him, because of the PIN number, and this is according to him, because of the PIN number debacle where she was giving him the false PIN numbers, he was angry, quote, angry, and he raped her the first night. But most likely he raped her every night, I would imagine. He did admit to raping her the first night, but I mean, why take anything this guy says for truth? So yeah, she did get raped. If you want to read this is from the Gary Michael Hilton.
There comes a point when they fight and they submit, and a lot of that is because of me. I reassure them that it's going to be okay.
But the advice to people if they're abducted is to engage your abductor and to make yourself a person to them and not have them think of you as an object. To engage them, to tell them your name, to tell them about yourself, tell them about your family, tell your abductor that, tell them what you study, what your dreams and hopes and plans and schemes are, and try to engage them and make yourself a person rather than an object, because the abductor is psychopathic. He's looking at you in a human way. You want to make yourself a human. No, it was always me. it was always me engaging them. First thing I asked him is, what kind of music you like? What's your favorite song? What do you do for work? Where'd you go to school?
What he's talking about right now is during the second and third day, he claims that she was submissive to him.
Throwing stuff in, don't worry. Because she by then knew the procedure for packing and unpacking the van. And she would help me, you know, and how we would do it, and, you know, et cetera, what went where. She knew it all. And she would help me. But I said, hey, now just grab it and throw it in. Grab it. And she just, man, was really going crazy.
So when they would stop at a gas station and someone would see them, they would both start throwing stuff in the van so they can leave quickly. That's what he claims. So he's saying she was working really hard to make sure they get out of there on time. This is basically saying that this is him saying that she was completely submissive to him. Now, you got to take this guy for what he says as a grain of salt. You can't really believe, you know, we don't know this for truth.
Wow.
You can see right there, watching 4.5 hours of that is a pain.
Yeah.
He just will not shut the fuck up at all. I mean, he talks about everything. He talks about evolution and the reason for life, and these guys are just sitting there like, what the fuck, you know? But that's a little bit about the interrogation. I am embedding that on talkmore.com for you guys.
What was his sentence?
So he was sentenced to life in prison for Georgia, and the reason they did that, they actually took the death penalty off the table in exchange for Meredith's body. And the reason they really did that, because I know a lot of people are like, I wish they didn't do that, is because, as I didn't get into, he was convicted for killing other people once in Florida and North Carolina. So they were banking on those two states putting the death penalty on him. Let me see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
In 2008, Gary Hilton was charged for life in prison. That was for the murder of Meredith Emerson. He was also sentenced to 4 life sentences in North Carolina for the murder of John and Irene Bryant, which we didn't talk about. And in 2011, he received the death penalty in Florida for the murder of Cheryl Dunlap. So right now, he is currently on death row in Union, CI. And obviously, there's no possibility that he'll be paroled, and he is currently on death row right now. So this is his inmate population request form right here. He looks fucking evil.
Yeah, he really does.
Wow.
And you see that it says current release date, death sentence.
So he's been on death row for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Death row takes a long time.
So they, I know.
Isn't that kind of like not just, I don't know, like not that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just kind of crazy how long it takes.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, when they do death sentences, they don't really use do they still use the chair, or is it all lethal injection now?
I think it's all lethal.
Like, is that the most humane way to kill someone?
There might be a few states that still do the chair. Like, don't know this for sure, but I would feel like Texas probably either still uses or only recently changed it, I think.
One thing did come out of this, a new Privacy Act dedicated to Meredith. On March 29th, 2010, the Meredith Emerson Memorial Privacy Act was signed into law. And I didn't get into this, but in Georgia at the time, before this Privacy Act came out, there was no restrictions on crime scene photos. So if you use the Freedom of Information Act, you could have access to those crime scene photos. And remember, as we talked about, she was decapitated. Those photos, which are not public, but were about to be, a big concern came up with this case. A guy named Fred Rosen, and when I saw his name, I was like, I know that guy. He is a true crime writer, even though he hasn't written anything notable. If you want to go back to the Grady Stiles Lobster Boy case,
Oh, yeah.
I actually used his book as some of my reference points in that story, and that's the only one. But he came out and requested the crime scene photos so he can make them public. Now, that's not necessarily a showstopper. I mean, that happens all the time with media. But he was also requesting this for his current employment, which was the Hustler magazine.
Oh.
Very weird.
Yeah.
And he's requesting it on behalf of the Hustler magazine. And after he requests that, the judge came out, and the lead detective, the one that wrote the book, he says there's no way we can allow these to be public and be obtained by a guy that works for Hustler, which is, if you guys don't know, it's a porn magazine. That's the guy that's owned by the guy that's in a wheelchair, right? He got shot by a serial killer. Yeah. I want to do that story. This guy, what's this guy's name, man? The guy that owns Hustler. Hold on 1 second. Larry Flint. So Larry Flint, the Hustler guy, the guy that owns Hustler, and I don't know the story, but he was shot by a serial killer or something to that effect. And I didn't go through the story yet, so I only know the basics. But yeah, he ended up in a wheelchair. He's paralyzed.
Wow.
For that. But anyway, long story short, Hustler was requesting these death photos of Meredith. And so they put a stop to that. So I am putting some of the evidence photos, for instance, the Army-style dagger he used, some of the blood stains from where the remains were, some of the bone fragments, stuff like that, and the victim profile photos and stuff like that. And I'm putting those on talkmurder.com. So if you're following the story, be sure to go there and see those. But that is the story of Gary Michael Hilton in relation to the Meredith Hope Emerson story. And like I said, I didn't go through all the victims. I just wanted to focus on her individually. What do you guys think?
Sad story, but very intriguing.
Yeah.
But that's all I have with that story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have been doing a lot of requests lately, and we got a new Talkos Primo in. Thank you so much. If you would like to request your own story, it's very simple. Go to talkmurder.com/join. The membership fee is $47. It's a one-time fee, not recurring or anything else. It's just $47 one time. Request your story. You can be part of our private forum, our private Facebook group, and you can talk to us directly. And that's all I have for this story. So be sure to tune in. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And there you go. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you use. If you like the story, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our toothless mountain man, go to talkmurder.com/join. Become a Talkos Primo. Get a badass t-shirt, sticker swag, a lot of love. Shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. I'll research it, dedicate it to you right here on the Talk Murder Me podcast. My name is John, here with Jen and Nicole. And until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.